Welcome to Strange Weekly News. In this show, we're taking a look into the news and headlines to pick out curious reports of the strange, the weird, and the mysterious. Anything from UFO news to science advancements, the paranormal, and stuff labeled fringe science and fringe phenomena. Each news item we go over in the show, I will place all the links to them in the description box below once this live show is over, as well as chapters on the timeline index. Hello and welcome to all of my first-time viewers and listeners and everyone watching this live. Before we get started, I would like to mention that on Wednesday, for the Secret of Skinwalker Ranch review, it was season 4, episode 12, and it was full of a lot of science. It was a really good episode. And then on Thursday, for Mysteries with a History, we spoke about the government's approach to UFOs post 2017, talking about the New York Times article, TTSA, the previous UAP reports, hearings, and more. But today's Friday. Today is Weekly Strange News. So you know what that means. It's our giveaway today. So the base price is 10, and I will the word of the day, it's only appropriate, the word of the day that I'm going to provide to you in just a moment. But if you want to make someone's day, put in a super chat that says for the gift card. I will rack that up. Chris already donated 20. So we're looking at $30 already as the show just started. And that word is July 26th. Hashtag July 26th. Why? Well, because the UFO witness hearing will happen July 26th at 10 a.m. EST or 7 a.m. PST. And it'll be streamed right here live on this channel. So subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you do not miss that hearing. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a unique one. And we spoke about it a little bit yesterday. We are going to do a deep dive into it today with new articles that have been released regarding the hearing and a few other details. So put in that word exactly how you see it on the screen, if and only if you're watching this live. Don't put it in the comments, put it in the live chat. All right, let's take this down and let's get straight into it, because it's going to be a good day. We have a lot of UFO news going on, and of course, honestly, really strange stuff. Okay, so let's pull this up as a visual aid. Let's get into the mindset of UFOs. Okay. But first, and I didn't mention this yesterday because we just ran out of time, but to kind of preface for this year and up until this hearing, and we've spoken about it so much here on Strange News, but for my first time viewers and listeners, in February, President Joe Biden gave orders to shoot down 3 UFOs. Okay, then the alleged leak footage from the Navy pilot of a UFO, and then news of a whistleblower's report on a possible U.S. government cover-up about the UFO research, referring to David Grush here. And most recently, an independent analysis published in June suggests that UFOs might have been collected by a clandestine agency of the U.S. government. So, and that's just in this year alone, in 2023. Now, since 2017, a lot has happened when it comes to the conversation of UFOs and how the government is approaching it. But this year, it's been a whack year. If you've been following it since the beginning, if you've been following it here on this channel, you know what's been going on. Now, if you're just jumping into the UFO field for the first time, or just rather recently, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Too much is going on. I can't keep up. Guys, it's been wild. Well, the U.S. military has encountered numerous UFOs that have disrupted, their training exercises. We've heard this before, haven't we? And this was confirmed by John Kirby, a former U.S. Navy Rear Admiral and the current White House for strategic communications at the National Security Council. This guy that we're looking at right here. He said that the UFOs are, quote, a real problem that require further investigation by a special Pentagon unit. We've heard this before, but why is it relevant now? Why is an article just written about this now? Because it is prepping the world, not just the United States, but the world, prepping them for this UFO witness hearing. It's going to be very different from the last hearing that we got last year. That was a circus, and I'm going to keep using that word because that's really what it was. It was unprofessional. It was a lot of, oh, that's classified. And they didn't know how to use the pause button. Bit painful, a bit disappointing. But in this case, we are getting people that most of you are familiar with. We're looking at Ryan Graves, David Grush, and David Fravor. These are people that have spoken out before, and you might say, oh, they're not going to say anything new. It's going to be so boring, blah, blah, blah. All right, there, negative Nancy. Hold your horses, okay? Because this hearing, it's not for you and me. It's not. It's for everyone else that's not familiar with this topic or these people. But yeah, for you and me, we'll be like, yep, heard that one. Yeah, I've heard that. Yep, that one isn't anything new. But because these people are coming forward under oath, it's a really, really big deal. And if you type in UFOs online, anywhere, it is blowing up right now. And that's what I want to see. I want to see UFOs on the news every day, on everyone's headline. I don't care what news outlet you are. I want to see UFO or UAP in the headline because it's that important, in my opinion. It is the most important conversation that humanity is having right now. So in May of 2022, a video showed a small spherical UFO zooming past a U.S. fighter jet at high speed, and a former U.S. Navy pilot, Ryan Graves, also claimed that he and his colleagues witnessed UFOs almost daily from 2015 to 2017. Now, when he gave that original interview, Ryan Graves, it blew people's mind when he used the words, we saw UFOs on a daily basis. People were freaking out. They're like, what did you just say, Mr. Graves? Are you okay? Do you have any loose bolts in there? Like, that can't be possible. And he's been quoted on that ever since then. He's probably most known for what he said, that he saw him and his squadron had seen UFOs on an almost daily basis. This really shook people up. This got a lot of people talking. And between you and me, I'm pretty excited what he's going to have to say at this hearing, July 26th, which is the word of the day to enter for the gift card, hashtag July 26th, because it's going to be interesting. That's all I can say. I don't know anything. I wasn't given any information, any tip-offs. I'm just like you. Okay? I am excited what this hearing holds for all of us. And John aside, thank you for the giveaway. Hashtag Ramen Wagon. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you. And also Bob as well for the gift card. You guys are awesome. Gonna make someone's day today. So we're looking at 55 right there. Fantastic. Now, John Kirby said that UFOs pose a, quote, legitimate cause for concern for the U.S. military. I've said this before. I said this yesterday, and I'm going to say it again. You have two camps when it comes to the UFO community. Those that see UFOs as a threat and those that don't. If the military didn't see UFOs as a threat, they would not fund it. They wouldn't look into it because it's not threat worthy. It's not military worthy. It's not worthy to put in our tax dollars to investigate it. If everything was rainbows and sunshine and unicorns and sprinkles and ice cream, which, hey, I love all of those things, there wouldn't be any funding. No one would care. It wouldn't gain any traction. But having this threat narrative, people need to take it seriously. That's why it's a threat. Anything that is a threat is scary. It needs to be looked into because anything in the unknown that's in the category of unknown or unexplained is scary for most. And so for John Kirby, with the background that he has, to say it poses a legitimate cause for concern, aka it poses as a threat, it's nothing new. That narrative isn't going to change. And at the same time, it's something that, while we might not want to hear it, it's necessary in order to get answers. Because if it was all rainbows and sprinkles and ice cream, we wouldn't be hearing about it. And Spectre, thank you for that. We need the truth, July 26th, or at least much closer to the truth. Whatever the truth is, we can handle it, and we deserve to know what our military and government knows for the gift card. You guys are amazing. But you're right. We deserve the truth. And this is something that Representative Tim Burchett and Representative Anna Paulina Luna are really pushing for. And they've mentioned this on camera in interviews during briefings saying the the United States, the American citizens deserve to know. We need that transparency. We deserve to know. And I could not agree more with him. And I'm so excited that he is the guy that is steering this hearing July 26th. And of course, Anna Paulina Luna as well. Now, there isn't a lot of background on her just because she just entered Congress in 2023. So we're not, the majority of people are not familiar with her. However, I did look very vaguely into her background. She was a part of the military. She is also married to someone that was honorably discharged for honorably discharged, put it like that. So she does have a very interesting background, and then she got into politics. Now, what's her stance on UFOs? Well, just like with Tim Burchett or Tim Burchett, however you want to pronounce it, both of them are saying we deserve to know what is going on. And they've had a lot of pushback in the last few days, really, about this whole hearing. Agencies have pulled back, including NASA, and they've been having a lot of difficulties getting this hearing ready for July 26th. So it's been a real mess. Is it shocking? No, it's not. But it is something that I and many of you are also keeping your eyes on to see how this story is progressing. And we're going to see what happens as we get closer to that date. Will it be canceled for some reason? It might. Hopefully it doesn't, because I mean, just like you, I'm pretty darn excited. I want to see what's going on, even if it's a nothing burger. You know what? I want to watch it. I want to see what has to be said, because it's not until you watch it can you make your decision. Can you come up with potential conclusions on how the hearing went? Right? Obviously, you can't just wing it right before it starts and say, "Oh, no, I don't like it." You can't do that. You can't. No, you can do that, but it makes you look silly, doesn't it? Back onto this. He continues with, yes, we wouldn't have established an organization at the Pentagon to analyze, collect, and collaborate reports of these sightings if we did not take this seriously. Pilots are trying to train in the air, and they see these objects. They don't know what they are, but these objects can affect the pilot's ability to hone their skills. So it has already had an impact. We just want to understand it better. We're not saying what it is or what it isn't. We're saying our pilots see something, and that something has already affected some of our training. Kirby brings up a great point, and this goes back all the way to World War II with the Foo Fighters. This shocked the pilots because some of these objects get so close to the aircraft that it shakes them, because nothing should get that. It's the same way that when you're driving on the road, okay? And there's a car that just slightly swerves into your lane. Your adrenaline goes up. You turn hot. You get sweaty because your life is on the line and you don't want to get into a car crash. You don't want to call the police. You don't want to get the insurance involved. You don't want to do all that. Man, it is a hassle. Now, with these pilots, they are in the air. So that factor is already just 10 times more scary than have it be in a little car. Okay. But with these objects that are coming close to the aircraft, it would shake anyone. And it's been happening for a little under a century. And we still haven't gotten answers on that. But it's people such as Ryan Graves who have spoken out about this and say something needs to be done. And he has been an activist. He has been pushing forward for it and for pilots to speak out, to fill out reports, because it is a security issue. And in this case, it is a threat for these pilots while they're flying. Now, Tim Burchett argued that the US government spends a lot of money on examining UFOs, but isn't forthcoming about what it knows. He said, quote, "They, UFOs, either do exist or they don't. The US government keeps telling us they don't exist, but they block every opportunity for us to get a hold of the information and prove that they do exist. And we're going to get to the bottom of it. Whatever the truth may be, we are done with the cover-ups. This he mentioned in just a recent briefing earlier this week, and I smiled because there's one word that he used that I didn't repeat, but it makes me laugh. It's I believe it's pronounced like gummit, something like this. The Anyways, it was funny, and I laughed when I heard him say it, and I laughed when I had to reread it as well because it's adorable. Now, he also said that the House Oversight Committee is planning a hearing, as many of you know, and I'll keep saying it, it's the word of the day, July 26th. But he says here that we have had men back out. NASA was on tap to talk to us. They backed out. You know, it's like every step of the way, from the committee room to the committee to the press room, everything. They don't want us to do this. There's a lot of pushback from the government. Now, he explained that he offered to amend the Federal Aviation Administration's annual reauthorization to include reports of UFOs, but the intelligence community shut it down. Now, he also mentioned in this briefing, Timbershat here, he also mentioned that it's not even allowed up to vote, okay? And he says, who are these people? What the heck is going on? Well, let's get to the bottom of this. And that's what this hearing is about. It's for them to get answers, for us to get answers, and for these UFO whistleblowers to provide answers to the public and to Congress as well. So it's going to be rather interesting. I'm going to keep saying it until that day comes, July 26th at 10 a.m. EST in Washington, D.C. It's going to be interesting. Moving on, but still in the conversation of UFOs, of course. And if you're hearing the show right now, hit the thumbs up button. It lets me know that you're enjoying the show, and it also tells the YouTube algorithm, hey, we want some more UFO transparency. Okay, we have 250 people watching this live. Let's get to at least 200 likes. Come on, do that. Hit that like button. It's free. But getting into this, let's pull up this image, because we're talking kind of about John F. Kennedy and UFOs. Now, this has been making its round across news outlets, and if you haven't read the articles, plural, I'll pass them by you. It's like this. So a lot of these articles are discussing a newly released government file that reveals a bizarre link between former U.S. President John F. Kennedy and UFOs. The document, which was released by the CIA, is a letter from JFK to the CIA director dated just 10 days before his assassination. In the letter, JFK requested a review of all UFO intelligence files that could affect national security. So a June 30th memorandum issued by President Biden stated, in the 3 decades since the President John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Collection Act of 1992 was enacted, the United States government has undertaken a comprehensive review of its records and has strived to make available to the public thousands of classified documents that provide a further understanding of the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Now, President Joe Biden had, as I just mentioned, just recently unlocked former top secret documents to provide a fuller understanding. Now, the case has been poured over for decades, but one document has revealed the previously redacted name of the CIA official Reuben Efron, who intercepted Lee Harvey Oswald's mail in the months before the tragic shooting on November 22nd, 1963. However, Efron is the name in another file dated back October 15th, 1955, which dates and details a bizarre sighting of flying saucers while on a train trip through the Soviet Union. The official CIA document says the reported sightings of unusual aircraft in USSR was made by 3 reliable US observers. The excerpt from a cable received from the U.S. Air Force reveals these are Efron, Senator Richard Russell, and Lieutenant Colonel E.U. Hathaway. Senator Russell would later sit on the Warren Commission, which was tasked with investigating the JFK assassination. So people, after this report was, well, these files were provided to the public, people are saying, is there a connection between John F. Kennedy, the thing that happened to him, and UFOs? Was he silenced in some way? This is the mindset that people are getting with this. But does causation equal correlation here? We're not too sure. Yes, we can speculate on that possibility, but we don't know. Now, you're able to look into this file into more depth. That link will be in the description box below for you to make up your own minds on what you think is going on here. But the reason to why this article is gaining so much traction is because UFOs are really, really hot in the news right now. Why? Because of that hearing that's going to be happening July 26th at 10 a.m. EST. I'll be streaming it right here on this channel live. But people are saying, okay, well, with all this hot news, let's make a connection between JFK and UFOs. Is it true? Is it not? Again, it's up to you to decide why it all happened in the first place. But this next one goes to show that we cannot have nice things. We can't have nice things. Why? Because some people have to ruin it for everyone. Let's pull up this image here because there was just a recent UFO hoax in Texas. Yeah, and this is why we can't have nice things. So it says, hoping to dupe the citizens of a small town in Texas, a couple of pranksters built a fake UFO and flew it over the town. Now, their creation of a UFO was decently unique. They did get two umbrellas and they put a drone in the middle and they sewed the umbrellas on top, right? And then they flew it. And I have an image here of how it looks while it's still in the car. Here's another one in the sky. Does it look like a UFO? If it's far enough away, the answer would be yes. It's that typical kind of cylindrical shape, not cylindrical, saucer shaped UFO. Okay, yeah, people would be like kind of shocked, right? Now the noise, on the other hand, drones are kind of loud. They'd be like, okay, that's not a UFO, that's a prank. But let's say you were to see a picture or a video online, you would say, oh my gosh, it's aliens. Is it? In this case, no, it is not. But upon testing their mini UFO to verify it would fly, they found that it worked better than they thought it would. Now, these pranksters then attached lights to it in an attempt to make it even more convincing. And at that point, it was time to take their concoction into town to see how folks would react to it. This was just some YouTuber that was seeing how easy it is to fool the public when creating a fake UFO. So they're doing the video on how they made it. They're doing the video on people's reaction if they look up at this object in the sky, and then they kind of just laugh at it. It's, you know what? Some people would find this funny. It's a funny joke. And I think it just depends on where you stand in this field and in these, also in your sense of humor. We all have different senses of humor. For instance, mine, I don't know where it came from, but it's like old Irish humor. I find it like it's the funniest thing on the planet. But if I were to show the TV show Father Ted to someone that isn't familiar with that humor, they'd look at me like I'm crazy and maybe cynical. Okay. You get what I'm saying here? We all have a different sense of humor. Some found this hilarious, while others thought that this was a horrible thing to do. And this is why we can't have nice things, because hoaxers have to ruin it for everyone when attempting to have a serious conversation about UFOs. But again, term UFO means unidentified. We have no idea what it is until there is further analysis, further data, further investigations. I am always okay with figuring out that what was once a UFO turns into an IFO, an identified flying object, because we all want answers. I don't want to live in a lie and say, oh my gosh, what I saw was definitely aliens, when in reality it was someone playing a prank. I couldn't live with that, with not knowing is what I'm referring to. So at the end, these guys said, nah, we're just playing with you. It's not anything real. Don't worry about it. But still, kind of sad. But what do you think about this? Do you find this kind of sense of humor funny? Do you think it's despicable? Do you think it's just kind of like meh? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the comments as well, because we all have different senses of humor. Now, this didn't hurt anybody. This didn't cause any damages or any issues to people. So that's good. Some of the modern day pranks are harmful, can be dangerous. They can ruin property as well. In this case, it was pretty harmless. So that aspect, really not too bad. I'm okay with that. But the debrief says not good. Okay. Jessica brings up a good point. It's misleading for the real information. The UFO phenomenon is filled with misinformation and disinformation. That's why it is so difficult. While one case might be classified or someone points out that, oh, that case is a hoax. But then for so many previous years prior, they're like, no, this thing really happened. But see, just one person has to say that the sighting or the event was a hoax, and then people take on to that and they believe it. In this case, the creator said it was a hoax. So this way, like, we actually know that it was. We saw it being made. We saw the creation of it. But if one person of any kind of influence says one thing or another, people are going to believe that because they see this person very high on a pedestal. And you should not believe anything or everything that one person tells you. You shouldn't believe everything that you read in a book or that you watch in a documentary, because it's not hard to falsify information. Now, when we're dealing with the government and that type of paperwork, some will say yes, some will say no. It's up to you on what you think on that. But for the most part, it's not hard to falsify information. So don't believe everything that you see, read, or hear, because this is a really hard field to be in. It is. Yeah, I agree. All right, moving on to our next one. Now we're getting over to the paranormal, because there's this haunted horse rocking chair. How many of you used to like use rocking chairs and stuff as a kid? I never had one, and I'm kind of sad. But I did like regular rock. Okay, so here's a funny story. When I was really, really young, like 6 or 5, really young, and there were rocking chairs, I would always I would always pretend that I was like 90 with like 50 cats and say, I remember back in the day. Some people found that hilarious. My dad, on the other hand, he didn't find that very funny. But as for these like horses, like these rocking horses, I didn't have any of these. But in this case, for this story, this one is believed to be haunted. Now, it is a 20th century toy that has been passed down through the generations in this one family. And the name of this person has not been disclosed, at least not their last name. We only have their first name of Kelly. And she's putting it up for auction for 200 to 300 euros on July 30th. But she did want to state that she couldn't just casually sell it online and not tell people that it was haunted. So the mom, as you can tell, this is from a UK newspaper here. The mom, who is in her mid 30s, says that the rocking horse has been handed down through the family, but her 10-year-old daughter is not really keen to ride it. Kelly recalls stories about her grandmother and how the rocking horse would be in a certain place in one room when she went out, but then had moved, and even as far as the landing when she returned, even though no one else was in the property. Did that make sense, what she said? Not really, but I read that quoting that. But what she's referring to is this rocking horse would move to different locations in the house when no one was home. That's a little bit spooky. Or you have a really awesome friend that you don't have to feed and like give snacks to, but you can hang out with. You know what? There's always an optimistic sign that you can look at. A friend that'll never leave you, right? Now, her great grandfather Mr. Gooden had seances in his home and was also a ghost hunter who believed a little girl called Angela was playing on that horse. He is recorded in a book called Phantom Ladies by Andrew Green as being involved in identifying a ghost in an old theater and picture house as well. And the spirit was said to be the haunting mother of a little boy who was killed when a light fell on him. So sad. Callie says that although the rocking horse now on her landing has not moved, she often hears a banging noise coming from upstairs while she is working. She mentions it's quite loud, as if someone is walking around and there's no one up there. I'm sure some people will think that I'm crazy, but I feel just uneasy having it in my place, especially as my daughter is not interested in it. This is a pretty odd story. You don't have to believe it. It's just one that came up. It's one that this horse is going to be up for auction July 30th for 200 euros, which is a lot, really, in my opinion. But you know what? Inflation, right? All across the globe, inflation. But this is something that has been passed down for generations for, I think, I want to say 3 generations. And it's odd that while this object has been passed down, the grandfather used to conduct seances in his home with this object here. Now, does causation equal correlation here? Don't know, but I think it's rather weird that the two are in the same story, in the same article here. But has there ever been an object that you've had that you think is haunted or that you thought was haunted at some point? Did you throw it away? Did you give it away? Did you tell someone that it was haunted before you gave it to somebody else? Did you keep it a secret? Did you bury it? Let me know in the comments. Please let me know in the live chat as well. Many of you are familiar with my haunted vacuum story that I borrowed from someone. It got wild in the apartment and I returned it and I never spoke to that girl again. That was the only time I've ever had anything that I would classify as a haunted object. What about you? Oscar, reading my mind, like a haunted vacuum? Question mark. Oh yeah. Yeah, Bill says trying to get that money. Oh, for sure. And if you label it that it's haunted, you might get more, don't you think? From those like really interesting antique collectors to be like, oh, it's paranormal. Let's put it in my museum. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like that haunted vacuum story. I won't be telling it again today, but I did tell it, I feel like a few weeks ago. So, and I put the timeline index for all of the shows. In one of them, it literally has a caption that says the haunted vacuum story in one of these strange weekly news. Oscar says no refunds. This is very important. If it's going to be haunted, you can't return it. We did also cover, I want to say it was a few weeks back, about a haunted painting by a Ukrainian artist. I think it was called like the sad woman or something like this. And every single person that bought it said that it was haunted, and they tried to return it to this poor artist. And one of the buyers says, "Look, I will pay you half the price that I bought for it just to give it back to you. I really do not want this painting." I love those stories. They're something else. All right, getting into our next one. If there is one takeaway from all the shows that I do, which is a lot every single week, one takeaway, well, 3 takeaways is: 1, I love ramen; 2, Puck the Puck Wedgie is the best; and 3, portals, wormholes. I eat that stuff up. Anything to do with wormholes, anything to do with portals, I'm fully in. I want to know everything that I can on it. But it's still a mystery for scientists. They have an idea, but they don't really have all the information that they need to create one. So let's pull this up, because there has been some new findings. And I said I have to share it. I absolutely have to. As Tyler says here, portals. Yes, portals. Every time. So, theoretical physicists have a lot in common with lawyers. Both spend a lot of time looking for loopholes and inconsistencies in the rules that might be exploited somehow. Valery P. Frolov and Andrei Zenelakov from the University of Alberta in Canada, and Pavel Krotz from Charles University in Prague probably couldn't get you out of a traffic fine, but they may have uncovered enough wiggle room in the laws of physics to send you back in time and make sure you don't speed through the school zone in the first place. Shortcuts through space-time known as wormholes aren't recognized features of the cosmos. But for the most part of the century, scientists have wondered if the weft and warp instructed by relativity prescribe ways for quantum ripples or even entire particles to break free of their locality. At the most fantastic, some reconfigurations in the fabric of the universe would allow human-sized masses to traverse light years, to cross galaxies in a heartbeat, or perhaps move through time as quickly as one might move through the kitchen. At the very least, exercises that probe the more exotic side of space-time behavior could guide speculation over the mysteries meeting point of quantum physics and the general theory of relativity. Wormholes are, in effect, little more than shapes, and we're used to dealing with single dimensional lines, two-dimensional drawings, and three-dimensional objects in everyday life. So, with this, it makes you question about wormholes because some we can see, fold, mold, and even poke holes into. Physics allows us to explore these changes in situations we can't really explore. Now, on the smallest of levels, quantum effects give distances and time some wiggle room. This is so exciting. So, on a much larger scale, space time can shrink and expand in relation to gravity in ways that are impossible to appreciate without a whole bunch of equations to guide you. As you may know, while I love when it comes to the conversations of science and wormholes and all that fun stuff, math accompanies that. And I'm really bad at math. That's why I did not pursue astronomy or anything like that, because math and we're not homies. We have nothing in common. So, for example, if you cram enough mass in one place, space-time will bend in ways to give it two exterior surfaces. What connects them? A wormhole, of course. Now, matter wouldn't be able to move across this mathematical structure through, though some suspect objects on either side that happen to be entangled would remain linked. Now, over the decades, this search, there's been a lot of scenarios, a lot of possibilities. They've been throwing a lot of numbers around, trying to figure it out. And a big takeaway is exotic matter. In order to create a wormhole, in order to create a portal, you're going to need exotic matter. And that's where people's hopes and dreams just plummet. They're like, where are we going to get this exotic matter? Now, they are trying to create that, trying to get an idea of how to make it, create an abundance of it in order to make wormholes and portals, which is very, very cool. But considering interactions of electrical and magnetic fields can potentially allow us to better understand space-time and how to create portals and wormholes. So scientists such as the ones that I mentioned earlier, I am not going to repeat their last names because my goodness, it is not in my vocabulary. They're saying with all of this amazing mumbo jumbo of math and all these weird letters that accompany math, we might have potentially have some answers in order to maybe create a wormhole or to get a better understanding of how they could also be made naturally. Dun dun dun. Super cool stuff here, but also in this particular article, they don't go into great depths, into great detail, specifically on their experiments that they have conducted, but that there still is a bit of a paradox when attempting to understand the ideas of wormholes and portals using math here. But if you want to read that article in length, I will place that link in the description box below. But hey, we had to cover it. And if you don't like portals or wormholes, why? Why not? Because if there were one just to open up right now, or if I could be Doctor Strange and open one up, I'd walk through it in a heartbeat. I already have my survival backpack with all the ramen that I need and a little pocket for Puck. I'm just going to grab that and go. I'm ready. There's nothing holding me back here. And if it's dangerous on the other side, that's the risk that I'm willing to take here. But getting into the serious topic of wormholes, if we were able to fully understand how they work and if we were able to create them using exotic matter, that would change everything for humanity. Obviously, the way that we travel, not only across here, going from the grocery store to your house in seconds versus having to go through traffic, but also traveling to other planets as well, grabbing materials and then heading out instead of using warp drive, right? Like what we see in Star Trek and all those types of sci-fi TV shows and movies, which, by the way, Strange New Worlds, the latest season, it's so good. I'm a Trekkie myself, and I'll really Strange New Worlds this whole season. It's just been really, really good. It hasn't finished yet. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but if you're into really any kind of sci-fi dealing with space, it's so good. It's so, so good. But with all of this, oh, Jessica says, I love Star Trek. Brownie points right there. It's the best. It is the absolute best. Getting into the strange now, because let's just say you were casually having your cup of coffee, which for many it is a ritual. There are literal t-shirts that say, do not speak to me until I have my cup of coffee. Okay, it's everywhere. You can find it everywhere. Well, just imagine you're casually having your cup of coffee on a patio, enjoying the morning weather, and then bam, you get hit by a meteorite. That would not be a good way to start the day, don't you think? Well, a woman in France was recently struck by a small meteorite while having coffee with their friend on a terrace, an event which is considered extremely rare. This woman was hit in the ribs by a mysterious pebble of the time, which she initially thought was a piece of cement or even an animal. Dang. And it says here that meteorites are space rocks that survive their journey through the Earth's atmosphere and hit the ground. Most meteoroids disintegrate completely as they speed through Earth's atmosphere at tens of thousands of miles per hour. Of those that do make it to the ground, typically only a small percentage of the original object survives. Now, this woman in France took the rock to a roofer for examination. The roofer suggested it looked like a meteorite. She then showed the mysterious object to a geologist who confirmed that the rock appeared to contain a mixture of iron and silicon and could indeed be a meteorite. Now, almost 50 tons of this type of material is estimated to fall to Earth every single day, according to NASA. However, most of this is extremely small and the majority falls into the oceans. When found on land, it is very difficult to distinguish meteorites from normal Earth rocks by appearance alone. Now, the first confirmed case of a meteorite directly striking a person occurred in the United States almost 70 years ago. And this case, this person was actually hit by like an 8-pound stony meteorite that crashed through her roof in November of 1954. And it impacted her and gave her severe bruising. In this case, for this French woman, she just got hit by a small little rock, and she thought that at first it was a bird that just like went straight into her ribs. That's whack. Okay, that is even like a crazy thought, at least in my world. But turns out just a meteorite. It's very rare that this happened to her. So either it's a blessing or a curse, but I feel like we should start making wishes if we get hit by a meteorite because it's so rare. Forget making wishes on dandelions, like when you blow them and all the seeds go everywhere. Forget doing that. Just see if you're gonna get hit and then make a wish. That'd be crazy. But I'm all for making wishes. Like, when you put a little coin in a well, when you blow a dandelion, when you have a little eyelash and you put it on your thumb and you blow it, or like a little ladybug, right? Like that lands on you, you make a wish and you blow it away. All these different things. Look, why not? Why not? It's childish for many, sure, but there's no harm in it at all. It's a little bit of fun and it lets you tap back into your childlike mentality. And when we look at these topics, anything that's strange, when we think about magical forests, aliens, ghosts, demons, all these types of things, when we sit back and just allow our imagination to run, we are doing what we did when we were once children, when the world was filled with color and mystery and excitement. But when we become adults, everything turns very black and white, very dull, very boring, where all we do is go to work, pay the bills, come home, watch TV, eat dinner, go to bed, and then do that whole cycle over. But for kids, they're usually living in the moment and they're asking all of these crazy, wild, interesting questions that we forget to ask as adults. And if anything, for those that have kids, those that want kids, those that work with children, or if you even go back to your childhood, in that age when you began to ask so many questions from your parents or to your teachers or to other adults, they would shut you down and they would say, stop asking questions. I don't know the answer. Go do something else, right? Go pick your nose. That's what my mom used to tell me. But and then we learn to stop asking questions. And then when we become adults, we just assume that we know everything. We just assume, okay, either I'm going to get ridiculed if I ask a question, and I'm just going to play it off like I know what's going on. And 9 out of 10 times, you don't. Just like me, you're probably winging it day by day and just kind of hoping for the best. Probably. Just like with children. But with kids, they are aware that they don't know everything. They're not trying to play it off like they do the way that adults do. They want to ask questions. And that's what I want to do here with you, is not only for me to ask you questions or you to ask me questions, but to think outside of the box. To think to yourself, you know what, now that you mentioned it, I need to look further into that. Or now that you mention it, I also have this question. Or your question led me to another question. And then we become curious again, like what we once did when we were children. And that's the importance of human evolution. Don't you think? Yeah. The debrief says, if you pick your nose, don't eat it. That's a good point. Thank you for that advice. I will make sure to definitely do that. And Gary, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate that very, very much. Okay, getting into our next stuff. How many of you are Terminator fans? It's a great movie. Movies, plural, more than one, of course, and they're pretty good. I liked most of them. Let's pull this up because it's going to be relevant to why I even asked you that question. Okay? Because for the first time, scientists have spotted metal healing itself after cracking. Very much like this evil villain in a Terminator, T-1000. Okay? And an observation that could pave the way for the creation of structures and robots capable of mending themselves. You either love it or you hate it. In 2013, a team of researchers used computer models to show that metals may also be capable of performing the healing trick, but they were unable to study metals at the tiny scales necessary, so they couldn't get real world evidence. Now, in a study published July 19th in the journal Nature, scientists investigated how nano-size metal pieces respond to repeated stress using a device called a transmission electron microscope. And the device applied an extremely small force equivalent to the stomping on a mosquito's leg in the form of 200 tiny tugs to the metals every second. In two of the metals, copper and platinum, cracks appeared and grew throughout the material. But then, after 40 minutes, the metals fused themselves back together, leaving no trace of cracks. The explanation for this amazing magic trick has kind of been called cold welding. It's not an official name yet, but the scientists that discovered this, really, that's what they're beginning to call it, cold melding. The researchers isolated the metal within a vacuum to observe the cold melding process, so it's unknown if the process works only in the vacuum or not. However, the scientists are pretty optimistic that their discovery could lead to fundamental changes in the way we build and design metal structures for durability, and could even have applications for space flight where atmospheric particles are a problem. This is Terminator vibes right here. Super cool in some aspects, like space flight, and you want to protect your ship, right? I get it. Super cool. Why not just create a force field? Hey, you know what? That's just me here. But when it comes to robots, right, which AI is becoming very, very prevalent in today's age, there was just an AI panel meeting for the UN in Geneva last 2 weeks ago, I believe. And it was all about talking about AI and its development. And these AI robots were saying, yeah, I'm all for it. Or, hey, we should be a little bit more cautious. So just imagine these super smart AI robots, they already have bodies. But imagine them having material like this to where, let's say they get hostile and you try to kill it to the best of your ability and it just comes back like in Terminator. That is it for humanity. Goodbye, humans. We're not coming back from that. So you can either be optimistic or pessimistic here. And I think it just depends on how it's going to be applied in the future. Right now, it's still pretty new. This is happening at a pretty microscopic level here. But when they begin to upscale, that's when maybe we should start asking some bigger questions. Pretty freaky. But moving on, we are getting into like the really weird here. A lot of us like doing DIYs because it's cheaper, it's a bit more fun, we get to use our creativity. But there are some things that we should let the professionals do. Okay, this is one of those things. What am I talking about? Brain surgery. Do not do your own brain surgery because a controversial Russian scientist claims to have implanted an electrode in his brain to control his dreams by performing brain surgery on himself in the comfort of his own living room. This Russian researcher has no neurosurgery qualifications whatsoever, and where he reportedly lost more than a liter of blood while performing brain surgery on himself in his home in Russia in order to implant an electrode that one day has the potential to control lucid dreams. Now, he's not a doctor, but he is the founder of Phase Research Center, an organization that claims to provide beginners guidance on how one may experience sleep paralysis, out of body experiences, and astral projection. He has quite a following in Russia. His name is Michael Raduga. Did it. And a lot of them were praising him for his courage to push boundaries in order to achieve his goals. But neurosurgeons are warning that he is treading on extremely dangerous ground. Now, do you know how he prepared himself for the surgery with no background whatsoever? He went to YouTube and he just watched a crap ton of YouTube videos when it comes to brain surgery, both on people and on sheep. And he says, I got this. Let's go for it. Haven't done it on anything. I've only watched videos, but now it's time for me to be the guinea pig. Let's go for it. He was very lucky that he survived. after losing a liter of blood and doing this very dangerous procedure on himself. But it turns out that it had to be removed a few weeks later because it was getting a little bit too harmful. Now, he hasn't mentioned any side effects while he had this electrode in his brain, but we are aware that it had to be removed professionally afterward. So, DIYs, overall, very fun, very great. Yeah, I do them as well. Now, DIY brain surgery, that is a big no-no. It shouldn't even be an option in the human mind at all. But he did really want to push for controlling lucid dreams, pushing for astral projection, and that's awesome. You can work while you sleep. That's like the motto of lucid dreaming. You get to travel anywhere you want to travel to. You get to do research if you wanted to as the stories go. I've never astral projected in my life. Have I tried? So many times, guys. I have read so many books. I have watched everything that I can. And because I want to work while I sleep, I want to do research while the body is sleeping. And I haven't been able to do it yet, but I'm still trying. It's been several years of attempted practice and no results whatsoever. But you know what? I am optimistic. I am willing to continue practicing. But as for lucid dreaming, that's a little different ballgame. Kind of similar, but pretty much not. And that one's also pretty cool. Have you been able to lucid dream? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the live chat. And if you have any secrets on how to astral project, pass them by me. Send them an email. Send me an email. Send me a DM. Pass me all the secrets. Okay, I want to be able to do it too. Well, that is all of our articles today. We're about to do the drawing for a $75 Starbucks or Amazon gift card. Let's pull this up right here because the word of the day is July 26th. To remind you to place that date on your calendar for the UAP witness hearings. I'll be streaming it live right here on this channel at 7 a.m. PST, 10 a.m. EST. You do not want to miss it. We have 64 entries. Let's get to 90. Come on, please. And then we'll go ahead and we'll do that drawing. Out of all the articles that were mentioned today, which one was your favorite? Tell me right now. I want to hear it. Let's hear what you have to say. For me, you know I love wormholes. You know I love portals. I do. But I think just getting more information and more context for the UFO hearing is a really big deal, which is how we started the show this week. So that might have been one of my favorite aspects of today's show, and then wormholes coming in a solid second because yes. But Chris says all of them, and that is the only right answer. It's too good. J. Allen Heineken says, July 26th. Wow, so nice to honor my birthday like that. Happy birthday. That's so awesome. You get to celebrate it by watching the UFO witness hearing. Awesome. Okay, come on. We're at 82 entries. Let's get to 90. I just need 8 more. Come on, we have 260 people watching this live. The rocking chair was your favorite, the debrief. Nice. It was a good story. But Tyler, I'm with you on that one. Portals and the hearing for me. Oh, yeah. That'd be great. Come on, come on. 5 more entries. 5 more. While we wait, hit the like button if you're enjoying the show. Subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely make sure to hit the notification bell so that you do not miss any shows or the hearing that's going to happen July 26th, which is in just 5 days. Okay? 5 days. Come on, one more. One more. Let's go. One more entry. 90. Here we go. Let's do that drawing right now. Let's see who's going to win. Who is the winner going to be today? Gary Keck, congratulations. You are the winner for the drawing today. Please send me an email with your YouTube URL and if you would prefer a Starbucks or Amazon gift card. As soon as I get that from you, I will send you that shortly. Thank you for everyone watching this live. Thank you for all the super chats, super stickers, all of my YouTube members, Patreon supporters, my incredible moderators, and everyone watching this live. I simply could not do this show without you. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, and if you want to watch the video with all the cool pictures that I shared, that link is below. Also, all of the articles that were covered, it'll be in the description box along with the timeline index. If you want to continue this conversation, bring it over to the Discord server with 2,000 other like-minded members. Share your thoughts, your insights, your experiences, and more. Also, follow me on Twitter at eyes_on the skies for all of my updates and news. Also on Instagram at Strange Paradigms as well. But if you're enjoying everything that you are seeing right here on this channel, consider being a Patreon supporter. All the funding goes straight to the channel, to Puck the Puck Wedgie, and to the RV Fund, where I'll be traveling the United States, hitting all the UFO and paranormal hotspots. That is it for today. I will see all of you soon. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies.